Good afternoon, everybody. Probably got a bit of deal fatigue now in terms of talking to everybody over the last 2 days. I know I certainly have. On the graveyard shift at the end of day 2. So I'll keep it fairly informal and fairly sort of brief and to the point. Interesting to hear about the exploration side of life and quite pertinent given where we are. So, as mentioned, Toro Gold, we're a private company. We were formed in 2009. Myself and my colleague Howard Bills over there put together the business, and it was a pretty simple model. Was to raise dollars, explore, and anything we found that we'd be prepared to push it through the development cycle in terms of feasibility study and potentially onto production. So we set off in 2009 with a little bit of cash, built a portfolio together, and in 2011 made a greenfields discovery on a JV project we had in Senegal called Mako. Subsequent studies through scoping, pre-fees and into feasibility studies saw us with a positive result in 2016. We gained our mining license from the government middle of 2016, and we started construction 8 August that year. Very pleased to say today, standing here, that 18 months later, we've managed to achieve the holy trinity of ahead of schedule, under budget and safely. And we poured our first gold bar on Australia Day, so a week last Friday. So a pretty interesting journey for us all. We've remained private through the process. No real science to that, except that each time we came to raise funding from our private equity shareholders, they encouraged us not to IPO at that time as markets were difficult. We continue to fund the business and sit here today with a producing gold mine while still a private company, which I think is not that common, I think, across the markets. The project itself, it's 1 million ounces. Average grade is 2.25. First 6 years, it's about 2.5 grams head grade. Pretty moderate strip ratio of 5:1, so good economics from an open pit. We've got a 1.8 million tonne a year processing facility, designed and built by Lycopodium out of Australia. So they're pretty good in terms of their execution ability. Mining done by contractor Ausdrill AMS out of Perth, and they're busy right now. In terms of the project itself, we're going to produce on average 137,000 ounces over the first 6 years. Cash cost just under 800. And when we include debt service from our $110 million loan facility from Toro, it takes us to just under $1,000 an ounce. So we're quite comfortable where we are from there. So look, in terms of the sort of the proof of concept, if you like, of the team, we feel now that we've been able to take a greenfields discovery from 2011 to first production in 2018 in a fairly short order. We believe we've done it properly, and now we move into the production phase. But really, and this was the point, I guess, before from the conversation on exploration, really we still see the drill bit as being the key driver of value creation for the business. I think we're looking at 2 key areas, if you like. One is mine life extensions at Mako. We took the decision in 2013-14 to really stop exploration drilling outside the existing resource at that time. Money was tight. Australian shareholders with Australian board members, we pursued what we call the Australian model of get to cash flow and explore off cash flow. So we're doing that right now. We believe there's good potential for mine life extension at the project, both identified targets underneath the pit and within the area, and then also within a 25-kilometre radius for trucking as well. So we've got an active program this year, about an 8,000-metre drilling program for the depth extensions, and a fairly active program around the region looking for those satellite deposits as well. So the key there is for us is to get into steady-state production, start producing cash, and look to push that mine life out. Our feeling at this stage is that it's probably a little analogous to Golden Pride in Tanzania, 8-year mine life that I think closed after about 15 years of operation. So we kind of feel that after 2 or 3 years, we'll probably still have an 8-year mine life. So a clear program identified for mine life extension in Senegal. I think importantly for us, we set the business up in 2009 really as a sort of counter-cyclical trade to post-GFC. I think everyone was quite depressed in 2009 that things weren't looking great, but we actually saw it as a great opportunity to build an exploration portfolio. So that's how we got going. In 2014-15, we felt it was a very similar environment that people were exploring. We felt that we were quite good at it. So we signed up a joint venture with a group called Predictive Discovery, who are an Australian ASX-listed junior. Their key focus was their project in Burkina Faso. They had a portfolio of pretty interesting ground in Côte d'Ivoire, and their funds that they had at that point were focused in Burkina. So we did a joint venture with Predictive. So we've been busy in Côte d'Ivoire since 2015. 6 permits to date, 7 permits to date. We've got a 65% holding in those permits, and we're busy moving through the early stage exploration. Our real focus at this stage is on a northern suite of assets that we have. Bundiali, which is on trend from Sisingwe, which is the Perseus operation, and also on trend from the recently announced Rangold discovery in Bundiali as well. So a good address. As you can probably see there, some interesting drill results came out of the first RC program, 20 metres at 10, 30 at 8, and 28 at 4. So certainly some good encouragement there. We followed that up with some more core drilling, an airborne survey, and we'll go back to that within the next couple of 3 months to continue on an infill program to step out from there as well. In addition to that, we've got another couple of permits that are emerging as quite interesting targets at this stage. Fukusadugu North has an 18-kilometre soil anomaly. We've just flown that and are drilling as we speak now, and that looks to be pretty interesting in terms of a target, all early stage and grassroots as we mentioned, and then there's Fukusadugu as well. So we've been active in Côte d'Ivoire since 2015, and starting to see some emerging results from that as well. So highly encouraged to that, and really the strategy for us there is to continue to push on in Côte d'Ivoire and try and develop that pipeline. We have just added 3 more permits in Guinea-Conakry in the Siguri region. We picked up those permits through direct application about 2 months ago now, and we're about to dip our toe back into Guinea. A fantastic mineral endowment and potential, relatively underexplored. Fair to say it has had a challenging investment environment for a little while, and our feeling now is that it's starting to turn. A number of major mining companies are re-engaging with Guinea, looking at picking up exploration permits as well. So we are sort of tentatively ducking back into the country and start to build up our presence there as well. In terms of the management team, we've built that up over the years, obviously through construction and operation now, so we feel that we are comfortable taking on projects from the early stage of grassroots through to construction-ready projects where we can deliver that as well. So we feel that we've got the skill sets within the company to look at most projects, and we feel that as a single asset, single jurisdiction company, that's a risk that we don't like to take, and we'd like to leverage into the momentum we've got now. We are private at this stage. A number of options for us corporate that we'll look at over the coming months. Stay private and run for cash. We could contemplate an IPO, and there's obviously sector M&A as well. So we're fairly agnostic around how we look at that, but we'll continue to look at all options as we go forward. Cash position today, pretty reasonable. $25 million with the project just about completed. So it leaves us in a fairly strong position to be able to push on from there as well. And in terms of Senegal itself, we are the second gold mine there after Teranga. Very stable government, good support. The president's the former mining minister and is a geologist, so they're very pro-mining. And we're finding it a pretty good place to work. Good investor confidence in the place as well, with a very clear regulatory regime, and just a good confidence to invest there as well. So I guess, as I say, we've gone through a bit of a journey since we set up in 2009. Very pleased with the... As a Manchester boy, I always get a bit nervous when I hear sirens. I was going to make a bolt for the door there. But so look, we've been on a bit of a journey. As I say, we feel that that we've got the skill sets in the company now to take something all the way from start to finish or into production. And we remain interested to see if we can build onto that momentum and go forward from there. So that gives me a couple of minutes at the end for any questions. Everyone's a bit sort of fatigued, so any questions in terms of that? Stunned you into absolute silence. There we go then, fantastic. Okay, thank you very much for the time. We're over in booth H6? G6? H6? H6. So if you want to see us, we'll be there for another hour or so and we'll go from there. Thank you very much for the time.